Hey everyone, welcome back for another Figuring It Out. Matt Wilson, Ron Schleck, special guest David Minicello, talking a little bit about job interviews or Infosec job interviews today. And I know we can go a couple different ways with this in terms of how to prepare, what to bring, what to expect, or what questions you should ask, and kind of how you show your interest. But I don't know, kind of kicking it off right away, if you guys have any initial thoughts or path that we want to go down as we try to figure out how to prepare for these Infosec job interviews.
Sure. For me, it's, you have to dress the part. I know in InfoSec, sometimes we have folks that take on different roles, and it's not to say that you have to have a $10,000 suit, but you're there to display professionalism regardless of the role. Not that I personally care that much.
You say this as I'm in a Star Wars shirt.
Well, I'm in a t-shirt. I'm in my house with a dad thing in the back. But the rules are all changed now that we're virtual, Ron. So what I'll say is that, but that was a part of it for me. You don't have to impress me. I'll be impressed with your knowledge, but to me, coming prepared, taking notes, listening, being attentive, having a clue about the company, those are all the fundamentals that I think to me are the bare minimum. Look, if you don't want the job and you're just getting reps in for interviews, that's fine, but don't use me to do it. That's how I always felt.
Yeah. Well, I think that comes back to being prepared, and it is, kind of how you show up and how you dress and how you carry yourself, even so much as the way that you speak and kind of communicate what your background, skills, and experience are. But then it just comes down to showing that you're invested in the opportunity. It's doing your homework on the firm. I know I've talked to a lot of people and they start their interview, and I mean, sometimes it's just mindless chit chat, but it's, well, what do you know about our company? And how do you think you'd be able to make an impact with this position? And people are like, so like you do cool stuff in security. It's like, yeah, that's like, I want a little bit more than that. Like take the time. Yeah, take the time, show that you are inquisitive enough about what we do and the history of the company to get the job.
Especially today when it's so easy. Like we put stuff out, every company puts stuff out on Twitter and LinkedIn and YouTube and all that stuff. It doesn't take long. Take 15 minutes the day of. I don't care when you do it. And just go know who the players are, right? Know that Dave Minicello leads our CISO advisory branch, so that you're a managing partner. It's on our website. Like if all you do is go to the BTB website and go, oh, looks like you do security stuff. Got to try it a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to pick up on the themes if you do a little bit of homework, and that's where I think it pays dividends in the interview process. Is if you can seek to understand what a business's strategy is, what their focus is for the future, and then whether it's a security role or any role for that matter, if you start bridging what you bring from a competence and experience point of view to help them fulfill that strategy, it shows that you can take it in, understand it, paraphrase it, and link what you can do to the value of the organization.
And let's acknowledge the really important point. This is a two-way interview, right? Like we might be interviewing you, but you're interviewing us. You should know something about us beyond what you get in the interview to make sure you're going to be happy here or wherever wherever you're at. It's a cultural thing. We want to make sure you fit into our culture, and you should want to make sure you do too, because you're going to be miserable if you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it time and time again. There's kind of like the three basic questions that I ask, and it's always, can you do the job culturally? Are you a fit? And then what do you want to do? And kind of where do you want to go in your professional career? And I don't think that the first one's kind of the easy one to check the box off on. It's based on your skills and background and experience, and sometimes a little bit of a test of what you've put on your resume to make sure that you're not lying, which is, I think, an important point to be truthful. The second part, for the cultural side, it's probably one of the harder things that we do as an organization to make sure that people are going to culturally fit and kind of align with how we want to continue to grow the business. And I think that's important for any team to be able to find the right people that fit in the mix with their coworkers and the people that they're going to be working with and the challenges that they're going to face. And then that last piece, which I think everybody always makes fun of me on, is, where do you want to go?
There's just so many things make fun of.
Well, and I mean, quite honestly, sometimes it's very professionally focused. And it doesn't matter for me. I try not to put any constraints around that. And then sometimes, people are like, you ask them like, what are your passions outside of work, or where do you see yourself going, or where do you want to be? And we hire a lot of folks in different positions. And sometimes, a lot of times anymore, it's not, people are not going to give you the answer like, wow, I want to stick with this company for the next 20 years and do this, but they'll give you what their overall life aspirations are. Quite honestly, if we can help in that, even sometimes if it's staying within the security space, if we can get, 2, 3, 4 years with somebody and make an impression upon them and give them a good experience, to me, it'd be awesome to keep every employee forever. But at the same time, if we're positively affecting somebody's career and giving them a good notion of what we stand for at BTB, I'm absolutely fine with that. And I think that's where people's attitudes have changed. It's not, you don't have more people like, I'm going to stay with the company forever. This is my dream job. And I'm just going to blah, 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 and go on and on and on. It's like, realistically, this is what I want. You tell me that up front, I will mentor you. I will help you as much as I can and get you there.
Yeah. And I think one of the things you brought up, and all good, obviously, but you bring up like passions, and it drives me. It concerns me when you ask someone that, like, what do you do for fun? And they have nothing, and it sounds like it's such a softball question, but your passions and what you do on the side, tell us your nerd cred, tell us about culturally do you fit in, and also tells us if it's a technical role, right? Not always, but if it's a technical role, and you tell us about all these really interesting, maybe you're building something or you have a 3D printer, I don't know, but that speaks to that passion will translate to your work life because it shows you can focus and be dedicated to it. It could be remote control planes. I don't care what it is. Have something you do. Have something else.
Yeah, it's not chit chat, right? It starts to really get into the fit, and obviously, as an employer, we want continuity. We want to bring institutional knowledge forward. We want to create great career paths for people, right? The job you're probably interviewing for now isn't the one you're going to have. You want to find an employer that's going to give you opportunity, and the employer should, seek to create that career path and the mobility across its teams, across, similar departments, and have a talent pool. Look at their employee base as a talent pool to draw from. For the long haul, but all of those personality questions or what might seem like chit chat is really good at aligning, not the competence side but the fit side, again, across for both parties.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think we see that, and I know that it's something that we talk a lot about in terms of sort of company core values, and it's that personalizing our message and really being real with our clients and the people that we interact with, because those personal relationships, even though they're in a professional setting, are the ones that continue to build credibility and trust. But then also, it's to me, it's just good business, and I think that transcends any specific organization. Whether you're a manufacturing company and you're just in infosec or whatever it is, you got to have some sort of passions outside of work. And to Matt's point, it does kind of show you what the person is made of. And where they're able to focus and kind of what interests them. And then culturally, how do they fit within an organization, and how are they going to be able to find similarities with the people that they're working with to make change and, work towards a goal.
So to recap, it's, prepare by actually doing some homework and knowing about the company beyond what's just on the website. Show up and I don't know how. I always liked when someone printed resumes, but I also care about the environment, so I care less about that these days. But I think showing up with something that like you bring and ready to share, it speaks to preparation and investment in the opportunity to interview. Right? I always like, so at least show up with something that you can write on and ask us questions. So another fun one could be, what are some really terrible responses? Like when any good stories of failures within an interview, or too many to list? Like,
no, not too many to list. I mean, I always tell the story of the one, there's two that always stick out in my mind. And there was one back in, another many, many moons ago, interviewing for a technical position where the person just flat out hung up. So it was like a sigh of like, I don't know that, and hung up. And then there was, the one somewhere along the similar vein where asked a question, kind of a, depth and expertise on a particular technology that they had said that they knew really well. So, of course, I'm going to ask a question about that. And it was like a sigh and a, oh shit, sort of thing with, I'm not sure. It's like, okay, if you're going to put it on your resume, again, it comes back to truth. Just,
number one rule.
Yeah.
Put it on your resume.
And then, and then
better know it.
Up. Exactly. So those are my two best stories. I mean, the hang up one is by far still, and I think I was actually on the call with Chris McGinley, one of the other managing partners, and we were just like, I guess that's it. I guess we're done. Move on. Right.
Yeah. How about you, Dave? Any good ones?
No, not quite as good, but I've had certainly uncomfortable ones where you're, goading the person into, giving some answers, opening up, and you just get the one-word answers back, and you have to pretend like it's going really well.
Have you guys ever had the ones where they're so short that you're actually like not sure where to? It's like, you schedule an hour and 20 minutes in, you're kind of like, okay, well, thanks for your time. And
yeah, I feel it's like fist bump. Like we're good. We're done here. We all kind of did the thing. Like it was rapid fire. Yes, no. Yeah, I've had a couple of those. And I think the thing I want to stress is we've all kind of hit on honesty. And I think it's important for a couple of reasons, because you don't want to fall into a role that you can't actually do. And that speaks to how you started around, like, can you do the job? So if you don't know an answer to a question, don't fake it, because the person that asked probably knows, at least at BTB. So at BTB, we're going to know the answer. So just say, I don't know. And we'll respect that, right? Like, tell me how you would figure out the answer or find the answer. I can respect that, right? Because rote memorization isn't actually knowledge. It can be the base of knowledge. But knowing how to get the answer is way more important. So I think we'll have to do a series of these, because we're going to be going on for about an hour here if we wanted to. So any kind of parting thoughts? I'll start with Dave.
No, I think it's a good topic for continued conversation, maybe at some different levels, right? Some practitioner, junior level, some leadership roles and things like that we could get to. But, my parting shots or words or whatever, what have you, would be, if you're interviewing for a role, right? Security is very much about communication. So it's not just job competence and the technical aptitude, but you've got to be able to articulate risk, articulate strategy, build relationships and networks and things. So it's a multi-dimensional role to be successful. So when you're interviewing, approach it, and you've got to touch on all those key aspects, because as a hiring manager, I'm looking for that in our security professionals.
Yeah. How about you, Ron? Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of recapping what we said: truth and what you're doing, and who you are, what you know, and what your feelings are. I mean, I would hate to make any hire that isn't 100% truthful, and I just think that there's too many people that are so desperate for jobs, they'll lie and kind of say what needs to be said to get hired. But, quite honestly, that stuff comes out pretty quickly, and you're able to see how somebody truly is once they're hired and they're working and they're tasked with things. So I would say, let's be truthful, and everybody can get to a better place professionally. There's a ton of jobs out there in security. So, sometimes you're not going to be perfect for a position that you absolutely want and need, but you may find yourself in a position that is going to help you grow as an individual professionally.
Yeah, so maybe future date, well, maybe we would break it down by a role. We'll have to muse on that, or mull that a little bit, but because there's different kinds of roles. But next week, I think we need to continue our getting into penetration testing conversation, because we only scratched the surface. So I guess that's it. Ron, you want to close us out?
No, I really don't. I mean, I could do my Harry Potter cloak claw, trick there, and maybe that'll just be the end of the video. How do you feel about that?
A trick. All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye. Yeah.